Hello! So Al and I randomly decided to do Manga March. For the month of March we will be letting our true weeaboo side show and reviewing mangas and only mangas. Mangas, if anybody doesn't know, are Japanese comic books that are read from right to left. Don't hate me weeaboos, that was not a good description, but that's the best I've got. But yeah, we're giant nerds and we want to express our love for different forms of media, so this is just something we're trying out. So I thought, what manga better to review than the one that actually got me into manga? Is it manga? Manga? I'll rotate it up. This is the first manga I ever read. Pokemon Special Adventures. I seriously have like every volume of this thing. I have ones I bought online from Singapore. I have ones I bought in the store after they for some reason started publishing them in English. I have these little ones that are like 2 chapters long, but I love them anyway. There's so many different forms of this and I have them all because it is my true love. Of course, in every Pokemon thing ever, in the very beginning, they try to explain Pokemon, like this is a magical world where there are creatures and you can be friends with them, or maybe you can battle with them. But no, that little description never helps for anything. Pokemon, you gotta just dive in with both feet and be sucked into the black hole abyss, and suddenly you wake up and you're like, whoa, I have this Pokemon pillowcase and all of these Pokemon books and this Pokemon poster and there's all these Pokemon up there. What have I become? What have I become? But that's another reason why the Pokemon manga is the introductory manga for so many people. Because if you're already in the franchise and you already like it, you're kind of grown up a little bit, not so much into the anime, this is like the logical next step. It's a little darker, a little nitty-grittier than the anime, lots of cool stuff going on, plot twists and everything. It will grab onto you and it will never let go. The person who created the world of Pokemon left it completely open to be interpreted by so many different people in so many different ways. Whether you're playing the video game or watching the anime or reading this, it's always going to be a different story, and you can think of a different story in your head. There's like more fan fictions for Pokemon than probably like any other video game or anything. I actually wrote a Pokemon fan fiction once about this. Mixed reviews. The first arc of this series is the red, green, blue arc. And it's funny, I think this book was actually published when I was born. So this is really a long-running series. So it follows Red, and he's so cool because tucked in shirt and his backwards baseball cap, what a cool dude. He says words like, that's so dope, and it's just like, release me from this 90s hell. But then eventually you move on. Yellow, gold, silver, crystal, ruby, sapphire, fire, red, leaf, green, emerald, diamond, pearl, plum, heart, silver. But no matter how many books they throw at you, no matter how many characters they pile on, it is just all so memorable, and every little detail you remember for later, and it all interconnects, and it's just amazing. I can't even pick my favorite thing about this story, because I just love it all so much. Of course it's me, so I'm always going to start with the characters. The characters switch around a lot, so in the first arc you follow Red, kind of as the main character, and later on it'll move on to be like Gold, and then it focuses more on Ruby and Sapphire and Diamond and Pearl, and the previous characters sometimes make appearances, but they're not really focused on very much, again, later on, unless they have another arc. Basically, it jumps a lot between main characters, but that's perfectly okay. The way they do it is just amazing. Like, for example, I read Red, Green, Blue, Yellow, and I was like, oh my god, I love these guys, they're the best characters ever. And I moved on to Gold, and I was like, who is this kid? Somebody give me back my other characters. But then after a few volumes of being with Gold, you're like, yeah, I really love Gold and Silver and Crystal. And it moves on to Ruby, Sapphire, and you're like, who are these children? Bring me back Gold and Silver and Crystal. And then eventually you're like, yeah, this is actually the best. And it moves on to Diamond and Pearl, and you're like, who are these children? But then sometimes they all get together, and it's just like, best day of my life. And the reason that I care so much about all these characters is because they're all so well developed and so different. I used to play this game when I was little, or whatever scenario I was going through, or just I'd think of a random scenario and I'd picture how all of the dex holders would react to it, and it's pretty amazing that it's different for all of them. Like, there are some characters who are kind of the same, like Green and Silver, but even then Silver's more of like a malicious sort of stoic, and Green's just like, I'm better than you stoic. Like, they're all very different, which is amazing because there's like 16, 17, 18 main characters at this point, and that is hard to do. Also, the character development is amazing in this, but we're going to talk about that more in the not spoiler-free section. The world of this manga is amazing. As I mentioned, it's the Pokemon world and you can do a lot with that, but the way they handle it in this, it's more nitty-gritty, like darker. Like Pokemon die and people get really hurt and everything, and it's like, whoa, edgy. Compared to the anime where it's just like sparkles and Team Rocket blasting off again and I got electrocuted, but I shook it off. I'm not bashing the anime, like the anime is my childhood, but this is slightly more realistic, but I mean it's still got magical animals in it, so. It's interesting because this takes the world of Pokemon, which is really for children, and it puts it in more of a context for people who are kind of growing out of their being children. And, like, I can read this now as an adult and still love it. Oh, I'm an adult. Oh. The fact that it's darker doesn't make it necessarily better, but it does set it in a context that's kind of more like our world and makes it better to, like, analyze and examine. It's not just the fun Pokemon world anymore, there's also things to focus more on and characters to dig deeper into, and you could just think about this forever, basically, and never get bored. I've decided to start doing my reviews in sections, so the beginning will be spoiler-free, the ending will not be. Henceforth. So here's a section of the review with spoilers. Let's talk about my favorite characters. The characters in this are like my children. Watching them grow and develop gives me like this proud mama hen sense. Like I said before, every character is so different, which is amazing that the author manages to do that. I could individually go through every single character and analyze them, but let's talk more about the motives of some specific characters that do a lot of growing. Like, all of them grow, but some of them are just like sticking out right now in my heart. Oh, I forgot to mention, there's this discrepancy about the name of the rivals in the red, blue, green arc, about blue and green, whether their names are really blue and green or blue and green. I say blue is the girl and green is the boy just because that's how I first read it. And when I got this manga that had it reversed, I actually went through with tape and like redid all of the names. So that's embarrassing. Also, it makes it really hard to not destroy the books later on when you're opening it up and all the pages are stuck together, as evidenced by these pages that completely fell out. So anyway, Blue, the girl, and Silver were kidnapped by an evil man when they were little kids and raised away from their parents and taught how to steal and fight and like hurt people. And because of that, they grew up being pretty terrible people. Both of them stole their Pokedexes. But then they grew into it, which is so great. These characters in particular, they really resonated with me as a little kid because it's like anyone can change. If you don't know like who you are now, you could be somewhere greater the next day. It doesn't really matter how you start out. The most important thing is what you become. So Blue started out stealing her Pokedex and her main Pokemon, stealing, making money. That was all she really cared about. She was kind of like a trickster character, always flirting around. And later on, Professor Oak finds out who she is and forgives her. And that moment when he forgives her is when I think it starts to all change for her. By the time we get to the Fire Red Leaf Green arc, Blue is a completely new person. She's mellowed down a lot more, she's trying to find her parents, she just has more realistic goals. You know, she's 16 at this point, and she wants to move on with her life and get past her horrible childhood. Same with Silver. He started out stealing and everything. He still kind of keeps on his monotone, like I'm angry with the world thing right until the end of what we've read of him so far. But he becomes a much better person, and that's also amazing to me. Like, sometimes people's attitudes don't necessarily change, but that doesn't mean their decisions can't change and their morals can't change, and just people change. I also really like the character of Gold, because a lot of the Dex holders are this archetype of like this responsible kid who's growing up and learning and changing, and everybody kind of later on in their lives will mellow out and become more of a responsible Dex holder. Not Gold. Gold remains this kind of crazy, weird, wild guy that everybody has to keep in check, but he's got a heart of gold. Oh, did I just say that? He's got a strong heart, and his heart is what pulls him through. Heart gold. I keep making puns by accident! But while he never really gets more mature, he does really grow a lot. In the Gold Silver Crystal arc, he's insecure in some ways. Like, he's always trying to prove himself against Silver, and at the very end when Professor Oak sends out that memo like, oh yeah, red is the battler and green is the trainer, and he goes through and Gold's not on that list, he panics. He like flips out because he just wants to belong to this group. And later on in the Heart Gold Soul Silver arc, he has more of a handle on who he is, I think. And that person he is still completely obnoxious, but he's comfortable with that now. Now, if we think Pokemon Adventures, Ruby and Sapphire are definitely the people that most people will think about. because this arc was totally stand out against all of the other ones. Like, all of them were amazing, but this is the one that captured so many people's attentions and hearts. It was the first arc that, like, the previous characters didn't show up in at all, and so it's kind of amazing that it was able to stand on its own so well. I loved how unexpected the character archetypes. Not to compare this to the anime again, because they are really different, and I do still like the anime. But in the anime, you have a lot of Ash likes to battle. Every girl who joins him likes pretty things and contests. And in this, it was a total role reversal. Ruby really loves contests, and Sapphire is found naked in a cave researching Pokemon and runs around on 4 legs and has, like, fangs. Oh, I could go on about all of these characters forever and ever. Let's talk more about the character relationships. I have never seen such a mess of pairings in any fandom ever. Like, everybody pairs everybody together. Maybe it's because I was, like, super involved in the fandom and when I was in grade 8, but the pairings in this fandom are crazy. Just everybody pairs everybody together, and I don't really see it for a lot of them. I mean, I just think they're really good friends. So Ruby and Sapphire actually confessed to each other. That was adorable. Obviously Yellow has a crush on Red, but I don't see that actually going anywhere. It'd probably just be more like, Red, I like you. Thanks, Yellow. I like you too. I like all of my friends. And Pokemon. But overall, I just love seeing their relationships as friends between, like, the trios or the 4 of them, like the quad trio. What's a group of 4 people called? Even after they've been separated for a long time, like in the Heart Gold Soul Silver arc, they come back together and they just click immediately because that's what it is to be a Dex holder. It's sticking by your friends and just instantly forming bonds between people that are, like, rock solid. Like, even if they're really not compatible personality types, they would do anything for each other. They would go to the ends of the earth to help out their friends. I think the cutest of the trios by far is from the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum arc. They start out together due to, like, a misunderstanding, and they travel together and they don't really learn anything about each other as people, but they become really, really good friends and they have little cute moments together. Where later on, when they're separated, Platinum finally admits who she is and the misunderstanding is cleared up, but they still love each other after all they've been through. Oh, and if I'm examining this Pokemon manga, I also have to examine the Pokemon, naturally. The Pokemon are done so well in this manga. Every panel is, like, teeming with Pokemon life. Like, the Vulpix licking the webcam while Bill's trying to talk, or like when Red pets Bulbasaur, it purrs, and it just connects us more to this world and makes them more animalistic, and I really want a Bulbasaur now. And also, every conclusion to all of these arcs is just teeming with action and excitement, and it just makes me so excited. The end of the Heart Gold Soul Silver arc, Bulbasaur, no! At the end of the Heart Gold Soul Silver arc, I was so excited and making so many annoying noises that my dad came upstairs and asked if I was okay. I'm okay, Dad. So I guess to conclude, this manga just really brings out everything I love about Pokemon. It's about people growing stronger and being empowered and changing the way that they were in the past, and this is why when people say that Pokemon is too violent for kids or anything, it's like, no, please, you don't understand how important it is to me. This is the kind of thing that makes kids believe that they're powerful and that they can move on, they can grow up to be really great things, and they can be friends with all these people and be nice to creatures and nature. And I think I'm a lot of the person I am today because of how Pokemon influenced my childhood. I'm not gonna lie. That's an incredibly nerdy thing to say, but it's true. And this manga is still probably my favorite thing in the Pokemon franchise. There, I said it. It's amazing. Please, everybody read it. If you liked Pokemon Adventures by Hidenori Kusaka, you will probably also like the thing I'm going to be reviewing next week. Spoiler alert! You'll see. Or, if you're in middle school and you're looking for something really action-y with a lot of good characters, I'm gonna actually recommend you Naruto, even though I don't even like Naruto anymore. That's the logical step I made from this onward, and that's what helped me become the weeaboo I am today. So if you're looking to spiral into that, or you're looking to get someone you know who is in middle school to spiral into that annoying weeaboo thing, Naruto. Pokemon special. Or if you're just looking for a good story, stay tuned! It's coming up. Bulbasaur's waving goodbye to you with its tiny Bulbasaur